So this evening, without further ado, I want to speak to you about the prophets of deceit. It is taken from Isaiah 30, verse 10. He said that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that would not hear the law of Yahuwah, which say to the seer, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, but speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceit. Get out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Kadash one of Yasharal to cease from before us. Amos 5:10. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. Galatians 4:16. It says, am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? In Job 38:2 it says, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? And my brothers and sisters, our listening audience, I want you to know and to understand this, that many people base their faith on their feelings and on their own ideas. And we must guard against that, because the scripture says we must base our faith upon the teachings of Yahuwah's word. So whatsoever the word says to us that we must do, it's not about what we feel is right or what we think is right, but it's what Yahuwah says is right. And I'm positively sure that you have heard phrases like this in Christianity. People would echo these phrases, that there are too much hypocrites in the church. And the church would respond, focus on JC. Don't study them who in the church. You see? But focus on JC. And I want to let you know that that is so wrong. It's so wrong. Because the scripture says that righteousness and judgment must start in the house of Yah. If the church is full of hypocrites and the church is full of deceit and these different things, then what you would have is a congregation full of hatred, envy and jealousy, deceit, backbiting, hypocrisy, malice and strife. And many times we look at ancient Yasharal and we only see the sin of adultery and these different things taking place. But Yahuwah said that they had been a stubborn people, a rebellious people. Why? Because another one of their sin that continue to perpetrate all its way down today is that sin of deceit. And Yahuwah is saying that we must not be deceitful. Why? Because hatred is covered by deceit. That is one of the biggest problems that we face as a people today. Ancient Yasharal was suffering with this problem called deceit. Let us look from the Strong Concordance Hebrew 8:98 as we look at the word for deceit. Let us see. It says bagad. It says to act covertly, by implication to pillage, to deal deceitfully, to deal treacherously, unfaithfully. So when you are talking about people acting deceitful, is that people in your own home, people in your own family, in your household, the scripture says, wives will operate treacherously against her husband. Husbands treacherously against their wives. and yet acting normal. People would laugh and talk, smile with you, and yet operate with deceit. And oftentimes I ask myself, what is my problem? You know, what it is that people don't, some of them they don't like me. And Yahuwah have made it clear as day to me. It's not that you are too strict. It's not about that. It simply is because you are a man that speaks the truth. And when you speak the truth, no one would like you. But when you have an assembly of deceitful men, an assembly of deceitful women, they continue to act unfaithfully. They offend, they transgress. Right? So it tells you that the type of person they are, the type of person they are. And these people transgress simply because they have never embraced the wisdom of Yahuwah. To embrace the wisdom of Yahuwah is to embrace his counsel. So the scripture says to us that they operate in deceit because of vain counsel. Vain counsel. And vain counsel or vain worship is void of Yahuwah's counsel. It is void. This vain counsel causes the scribes and the Pharisees to reorder Yahuwah's set-apart order. So they try to change Yahuwah's prescribed ways of doing things. Yahushua Mashiach said that my thoughts are not your thoughts. For my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, and my ways are higher than your ways. And if we are talking about Yahuwah's thoughts, it is what is in his heart. It is what he intends for his people. And for many of us, when we reject the wisdom of the Most High Yahuwah and trust in human wisdom, the scripture admonishes us, telling us, do not lean not unto your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And the enemy, the scripture says, have taken crafty counsel against the Most High and against his people. And as such, they will continue to seek to lay a snare and a trap before you. If they did it to Yahushua Mashiach, they will do it to us. We must guard against being deceitful. In 1698, you see the word azar. This word talks about advice. By implication, a plan, also prudence, advice, advertisement, counsel. So we look at counsel, that we must not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. The counsel of Yah have everything to do with Yahuwah's wisdom, right? And this wisdom, you would see it coincides with that of the elders, the responsibility of those of the elders. But I'll come back to that. Because if the scripture says to us that we must not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, because the counsel of the ungodly is vain, it is void of Yahuwah's knowledge. And this is one of the perpetuated sin. Like I said to you, it is a sin that continues to lift its head right up to today. Hatred is covered by deceit. How do we see it? By the kisses of an enemy. The kisses of an enemy is designed to deceive. It is designed to betray. Hence the reason the scripture says to us that the counsel of the wicked is deceitful. It is hypocrisy. It is treachery. It is what we refer to as guile, or to cheat, or to speak falsely, or to mislead, delude, and betray. Hence the reason again you would see that the psalmist David, at one time he cried out to Yahuwah and he said, "Oh, deliver me from deceitful and unjust men." Because that is one of the greatest sin that one can find, And deceit can only be effective from in an household. Because if you have deceitfulness operating on the outside, you make it out, but it has no bearing on you because you know that that is who they are. But when you see deceitfulness raises its heads in family circles, among spouses, and these different things, then it's a dangerous thing. And it must be addressed, because the word said we must set our house in order. Today, many people despise Yahuwah's counsel by rebelling against his word. Let us look at some of the scriptures to see how the people rebelled against Yahuwah's word based on that same thing of void counsel. Psalm 107 verse 11. Because they rebelled against the words of Yahuwah and contempt, they despise the counsel of the Most High. I shared with you last week that when hatred is seen one to another, hatred is seen between man and man, hatred is seen against Yahuwah, and it is seen against Yahuwah's wisdom. So when people hate you, you must know that they hated Yahuwah. And if they hated Yahuwah, then they would, who are we? We are nothing. And if this is so, then the same way they have been deceitful to him, they will be deceitful to us. But my aim today, my brothers and sisters, our listening audience, is to ensure that that demon of deceitfulness and hypocrisy does not lie in you. In Ephesians 4:25, the scripture says, "Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truthfully with his neighbor." Speak every man truthfully with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. But instead of we speak truthfully one to another, we harbor deceit and hypocrisy, bad talking, undermining, and doing everything possible against our brothers and sisters. And this must stop. This must not be among the Hebrews. Let it be among the Christians and the unsaved, but not in the house of Yahshua, not among the people of Yahuwah. So it is imperative that I must address this. And when you speak the truth, you will be hated for the truth. You believe that it was only for the name that you will be despised for the name of Yahuwah, and that you will be despised for righteousness' sake. No, you will also be despised for speaking the truth. Remember Shaul, he asked those in Galatia, he said, "Am I your enemy because I tell you the truth?" So you will be hated for telling the truth. You will be hated. In Proverbs chapter 1, we see this is a wonderful chapter of people rejecting the counsel of the Most High. And to summarize that chapter, he said, because you have rejected my counsel, he said that when calamity come at your door, He said, I will laugh. You hear? Simply because of our ignorance in rejecting the Most High counsel. He says in verse 5, 25 and 30. Verse 5 says, a wise man will hear and increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. 25. But you have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. 26 say, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. Why? Because you reject the counsel of the Most High. We have been studying, we have been showing you proof, we have been giving you Yahuwah's truth, and yet you continue to believe a lie. You continue to hold on to a lie and reject Yahuwah's truth. Yahuwah says that when calamity comes, he will laugh at your calamity. He will mock you when your fear cometh, simply because you continue to reject Yahuwah's counsel. Verse 30, he said, they were none of my counsel, and they despise all my reproof and my rebuke. And as I'm talking about rebuke and these different things, that is why Job in Job 38:2, Job said that they have darkened counsel by words without knowledge. Remember, I shared with you that words can either uplift, edify, and declare Yahuwah's truth, whereas words, again, spoken in a negative connotation, can cause you to err and cause you to continue to perpetuate lies. So it is very important that we make studies of words and that we review the scripture and rightfully interpret Yahuwah's words. Vain counsel, simply because they hold fast to the teachings of men. They teach commandments of men. They teach traditions of men over Yahuwah's word. Psalm 52 verse 3, that thou lovest evil more than good. And this is where we are as a people today, as a society, as a nation. They call good evil and evil good. The psalmist David said that they love evil more than good, and a lying tongue rather than to speak righteousness. That's why they told the prophet and the seer, prophesy unto us. Don't prophesy the truth, but prophesy smooth things, lies, deceit. So you have many prophets of deceit today. Congregation and assembly full of deceitfulness and hypocrisy. And I cannot function or operate in an environment of deceitfulness and hypocrisy. But there are those that do not like the truth. But if you are lovers of Yahuwah's truth, if you are called to love truth and all these different things, why is it so hard for you to speak truthfully one to another? Simply because the truth offends. No one likes to hear the truth. They may say, tell me the truth. But when you tell them the truth have a way it cuts you deep, but it plasters you back up. Stitch you up nice. There's a saying, comfort me with the truth rather than comfort me with lies. But the foolish man would prefer to be comforted with lies. The scripture made it abundantly clear that where there is no counsel, the people fail. Where there is no counsel, the people will fall. They will err. They will fail. He said, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. In the multitude of counsel, there is safety. Why? Because the psalmist David was making this clear to the people in Psalm 1 when he said, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of Yahuwah." Because they understood, just like Amos. In Amos 5:10, they understood the role of the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper was one that would take up duty at the door or at the gate of the temple, the tabernacle, the synagogue, the sanctuary. He will have himself placed at the door. Other times, the doorkeeper would be seen at the gate of the city. And their role and function was to examine the people coming in, to instruct the people as to if they are doing good, if they are going wrong. And if they are going wrong, they are to rebuke the people. And this, my brothers and sisters, this role that the people represented also showed Yahushua Mashiach as the doorkeeper. Because he, as the door, was also called the gatekeeper, the keeper of the sheep. And his role was to reproof and to inspect the flock on a daily basis, to ensure that the flock does not have spot, wrinkle, and blemish. And whosoever would come into the city, because remember, the city is symbolic of Yahuwah's kingdom. And that kingdom, he says, have 12 gates. These 12 gates are not Gentile gates. They are the 12 gates of Yashurel, whom both the Hebrew and the Gentile must come through. So once you are coming through that gate, there must be an inspection as to your way of life, your conduct, and your attitude, and these different things. And we have seen that the scribes and the Pharisees of the day, they hated Yahushua Mashiach because the scripture says he spoke to them uprightly. And here it says, they hated him that rebuketh at the gate or in the gate. So when you were called to stand in the gate as a watchman over Yashurel, is not to compromise your position, It's not to be a weak leader. It's about standing firm and understanding your role and function. Understanding whom you call to serve. And if you know that you have been called by Yahuwah, then you must rebuke without fear or favor. When they do well, you encourage them. You reward them for doing good. You compliment them. But when they are doing evil, he said, rebuke them in the gate. And they hated him that speaketh uprightly. Strong Concordance 85:49. So the scripture tells us that when someone taught uprightness, what they are doing is to speak that which is complete or entirely in accordance with truth and facts. That's what it means, Tamim. It talks about that. Speaking that which is complete and entirely truth in relations to truth and facts. So what we have seen here now is that the elders that were called to be at the gate, the elders, the house of Aharon and these people, they were called to be the elders. Elders were called counselors. And that is why you would see and appreciate the fact that these elders as counselors, they were symbolic of a tree. They are upright and firm because of the fact that they stand fast in Yahuwah's counsel. They stood fast in Yahuwah's counsel. It went on to say here, elders provide the firm support for the community. I'll read that again. The purpose of elders who bear the counsel of Yah, they were to provide firm support for the community. Like trees, they were to be firm and upright, making decisions and giving advice. Today, many people want leaders to compromise. Oh, don't speak to us truth, but speak to us soothing words, smooth words. So no one likes to hear the truth today. But elders, that's why I said to you that the ancient people understood. That's why they say, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. So whose counsel are we to walk in? We are to walk in the counsel of Yah. And Yahuwah says that he continues to rebuke the people because they reject his counsel. They reject his wisdom. They reject his knowledge. And if they reject the knowledge of the Most High, then he continues to say that they are destined to fail. The word counsel can also be seen as dabar. This dabar, they call it the dabar word. They refer to it as the oracle. But the oracle simply means, because it is Yahuwah dabar word, it is a careful arrangement of words. And we have seen that the enemy came to do what? Rearrange or reorder Yahuwah's words, his commandments. So when Yahuwah says to us that cause there must be no deceitfulness among the brethren, hear what the enemy telling you. Is that no big thing? That ain't no big thing. Deceitfulness, lying, that ain't no big thing. You see? And we must know the word. We must know the word. Because words talk about commandments. And in Acts 18:13, he says here, saying that this fellow persuaded men to worship Yah contrary to the law. 15, but if it be a question of words and names and of your law, look you to it, for I will be no judge of such matters. How can a Gentile be judged over matters like that? It's only a Hebrew can judge matters of that as it relates to questions of words and names and these different things. And this is what we have been doing, because the enemy has reordered Yahuwah's words, corrupted the words. This tree, which is symbolic of the elders, they now would stand and declare that they delighted in the Besorah, in the Torah of Yahuwah. They never trusted traditions of men, but the delight was in the law of Yah. And when you have come to know Yahuwah, when you have come to know truth and love truth, then you can do absolutely nothing else but speak the truth. And when you speak the truth, I say it again, when you speak the truth, you shall be hated for speaking the truth. Because to speak truth or to speak uprightly one to another. You may have to rebuke. You may have to correct. You may have to decide or make a decision. Or you may even have to judge. And that's why many people don't like it when you speak to them truthfully. In Proverbs 12, we look at verse 5 and verse 17. He said, "And the thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit." 17. "He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness." He that speaketh what? Truth showeth forth righteousness. But a false witness, deceit and hypocrisy and lies. Let's look at Psalm 24. He said, "Who shall ascend into the hills of the Most High? Or who shall stand in his most Kadosh place? He that had clean hands, pure heart, and who had not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully." So deceitfulness, hypocrisy, it is real. It is real. And it is alive. It is real and it is alive. Am I now become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Psalm 33:11. "The counsel of Yah standeth forever, and his thoughts, the thoughts of his heart, to all generations." He said, "My ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts." The thoughts of Yahuwah's heart is his counsel. It is his wisdom. It is his knowledge that he had enshrined within the Torah, that you would have instructions as to how to live. How to live. The greatest challenge a man has is to try to change people that are bent in their ways, that have made up their mind to live like devils and do what they want, you see, and refuse to take instructions. But a wise man will increase in learning. Wise man will increase in learning. Counsel here talks about speech, word or utterance. The counsel of Yahuwah stands forever. Psalm 119 verse 24. "Thy testimonies also are my delight and my counselors." You see, the word counsel come from, or counselor come from the word counsel. So if the elders were called to be counselors, then what do you think they were teaching and judging the people by? Yahuwah's law, his testimonies. So any doctrine that does not have Torah, that does not have law and commandment and statutes, it is void counsel. Void, and must be shunned, must be rejected. In 118, we look at verse 15, 115 and 18. He said, "Depart from me, you evildoer, for I will keep or guard the commandments of Yah." He say here, "And thou hast trodden down all them that err from thy statutes, for their deceit is falsehood." Their deceit is falsehood. And we, my brothers and sisters, I plead with you. I plead with you. Let us be real with one another. Marriages fail because people are not real one to another. They are not truthful one to another. Relationships, whether marriage, whether it's friendship, if there is not truth, then it cannot stand. We must speak truth in love, because you can speak truth, but the manner in how you speak it, it can come across as hate speech. So we must learn to and practice to speak truthfully one to another in love. Why? Because the scripture tells us that you shall know the truth. You shall know the truth, and no lie is of the truth. And the truth that you know shall set you free. The truth that you know shall set you free. Zechariah 8:16. It says to us, these are the things that you should do. I read it again. These are the things that you should do. Speak you every man to truth to his neighbor. Execute judgment of truth and peace in your gate. So you see what the elders were called to do? The elders had a responsibility to speak every man truthfully to his neighbor. In the gate, in the marketplace, in the workplace, wherever you are, practice speaking truthfully. And remember, it's how you say it. Not what you say, but how you say it in love. But we must guard against speaking truthfully to a fool. Because you speak wisdom to a fool, the scripture said they will turn around and hate you. So you have to discern who has the mind to receive, who has a receptive heart and mind from those that would reject it. He said they would perish and they would fail and fall because they reject the wisdom of the Most High. That's why he said, cast not your pearls for swine, lest they trample upon it. So we must know word and know how to appropriate word to our lives. Leviticus 19, I think it was, 11. So I shared all of that to bring you back now to not an Old Testament, but something that was written in the Tanakh, a command that was written in the Tanakh. He said, you shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. To deal falsely is to deal in hypocrisy, to be deceitful. And anytime you see someone who speaks truth, you're bound to know someone who speaks truthfully. They would not have much friends. The person that speaks truthfully, they do not have much friends. But those that, have a sweet tongue, forked tongue, they swing in both ways and 4 ways and 5 ways. Always have sweet words to comfort a fool. Instead of admonishing that person and rebuking them, that they would turn from their wicked ways and return to the Most High, we continue to give them smooth words.